So I don't do a lot of market videos here on the channel, and today I think I want to talk about this market right now on TCG Player. Now, this market is kind of crazy, and it's crazy for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, you have a lot of people not listing this card. Look at the amount of listings for some of these Pokemon. Espeon has 5 listings available. Umbreon has 8 listings available. Glaceon 5 listings. Flareon only 7 listings, and everybody else is 20 or less, with the most being Sylveon at 20. And if I click on Sylveon, I'm almost certain that 199 is either a damaged copy or somebody who, I got another video coming on this guy very, very soon, who's abusing TCG Player and he needs action taken against some Kai cards. But you see here, most of the copies are definitely low feedback sellers. It's not a lot of big sellers. And we're going to talk about that today. Why is this market so heavy priced compared to others? And why are big shops not opening up this product to sell singles? Why is it only the collectors who are selling singles and not actual businesses? And today we're going to break that down. So first and foremost, we're going to want to look at product type and cards and just kind of look at the available market for most of these cards. I think the most we're seeing for like listings is the golds and the master balls. When it comes to the SIRs, we definitely don't have more than 20 listings per card until we get to Iron Valiant, who's got 26 listings. Everything above Iron Valiant is under 20 or at 20, like Blood Moon or Luna. Some of them are really, really low, like Ceruledge is really, really low. Raging Bolt is extremely low. And then if we go to the next page and look at some more of the SIRs that are on the lower end, you're starting to reach the 20 to 25 mark for a lot of them. The Mask, unfortunately, up to 46, definitely has gone down in price. Some of the other masks, not as much. Pekarant, not as much. Drayton, not as much. The gold, still doing pretty good. So I wanted to give you guys an idea of how these cards look in terms of like how many are available on the TCG Player market before I start talking about the rest of the stuff I'm going to talk about. Now, I want to compare some of the cards that we looked at. Now, let's look at Sylveon. Ignoring Kai cards, which once again, I'm going to be talking about this seller very, very soon in another video. Look at the amount of low feedback sellers that you have selling the cards from this set. I see one that I would consider a decent seller, and that's the Pokehive. Everybody else is a low feedback seller. The Game Vault PH looks like they are an actual physical location. So at least one hobby shop has gotten 2 copies of this card. But if you looked at other cards, and we'll look at those towards the back half of the video, if you look at other cards, you have a lot of non-businesses avoiding ripping the set. And if you look at other cards, you'll see that a lot of these businesses end up having a ton of these singles on hand. This could also be the fact that a lot of these businesses maybe buy singles, but there are a lot of businesses who rip open product to have singles available, and they're not doing it with this set, which does not help in the case of bringing down this price. Look at Ceruledge when I open up the tab. 3 listings, not a single high feedback seller. Like, I would never buy from this guy just because he's at 95% feedback. It's got to be like a 99.5 or higher before I buy. And then the others I probably would never buy from just because they don't have much feedback. Let's look at Roaring Moon. A lot of low feedback sellers, with Cataclysm Games being the only high feedback and official LGS store with a copy. Then if we go here, we're looking at Umbreon. When I open up this tab, the only store that had one on hand was the Pokepost, which is an actual physical LGS store. They have a TikTok, and I do actually follow them. They recently opened up, I want to say in the last year. Excellent store, by the way. Everybody else is kind of just a low feedback seller. And then if we look at something like, I believe this is a Slowking Master Ball. Even the Master Balls don't have a lot of high feedback sellers, even though there are a ton of pages of listings for a Master Ball. If you just scroll through, you've got very low feedback sellers, unless it's one of the few that are using TCG Player Direct, right? A ton of low feedback sellers. Like, we haven't even seen an official hobby store yet until we get to Pokeheaven cards all the way in the back end. So, a mass amount of low feedback sellers. The same could be said for the Umbreon Master Ball. Most of the sellers are low-end sellers. Sure, there's a couple in there like FC Cards 2020, which is supposed to be an official hobby store. And then you got the Poke Shack and Sage's store. But for the most part, most of the sellers on here are low feedback. If we look at Espeon, Espeon's got a couple shops that have it in stock, but most of the sales are low feedback. Same with Sylveon Master Ball. Most of those sellers are low feedback. But then if we want to look around to other cards, other high value cards, and this is going back to the idea that these stores are not ripping Prismatic like they would other sets. Because if you look here, you have a ton of businesses. Darkwater Games, Cape Fear Games, the Deck Box, the End Games. Go to the next page. Full Grip, Blade, Fourth Space Games, Comic Book Store, Card and All Middletown, Finch and Sparrow, Cardboardy Online. These are all official businesses, official card shops, actually stores. And they obtain these cards and they're selling them. And it's helping keep the price of this card, the Top Chase and Stellar Crown, at a steady pace. Another example, and the reason I'm using this card is the specialty set. Clever Boy Gaming, Hoover House, right? You got a couple of high feedback sellers. You go to the next page, Pokeballers Mart, Family Game Night, Gamers Grove, Texas, which I've actually bought from them before, and they have excellent customer service. A few different LGSs, and this is from Shroud of Fable, guys. You go down to third page, you see a few more, and you got a few high feedback sellers like Carry Cards, who is not an official LGS, or at least they don't show up as an LGS on the website. But you see that there's a lot more available on market, and a lot more businesses, like official businesses, official LGSs, official LCSs, that have this card listed for sale. Sure, you could say that maybe they all have buy lists and they've all been sold this card, but a lot of them actually rip open some of the product to have singles available, and that is what creates a better price for the Pheasantipity. You see here that it's only climbed down in price. And that brings me to Greninja. The same thing with Greninja, guys. Look at how many high feedback and how many sellers have this card available on hand, right? Look at how many high feedback and official LGS sellers have this card on hand right now. So, and this is one of those cards that is actually top level. So now that I showed you guys some comparisons, what is my talking point here? Is that this set's demand is so high that only collectors are ripping it. Most businesses are going to benefit selling sealed, right? Because think about pull rates as well. And that's one of the reasons why businesses are weighing the cost of ripping this open. Why would I sell and why would I rip an ETB for the chance to pull maybe a $10 card instead of selling it for $100 and making $70 profit as a business, right? And that's going to be the mindset of most businesses that have these in stock. Why am I not selling these collections that I spend $8.75 for? Why am I not selling these for $25, $35? Because market price is $35. Why would I rip these open for a chance at a card that's worth a lot of money, but the odds show that I would probably not make my money back? And that's kind of the argument made with a lot of these, right? The poster collections sell for $60 on the market. Why would I sell this? Why would I rip this open for 5 packs when I can make that profit? And that's what's going to keep a lot of these shops from actually buying these singles or like ripping open this set, because buying these singles is going to be hard to do. A lot of collectors are ripping this set open, and a lot of collectors with how many copies of cards are in there are keeping their cards. So a lot of collectors are not going to be having their cards on the market. Hence why we see maybe 6 to 10 on the top cards on the market instead of 40, 50, because most collectors are keeping theirs, right? So the only way that this market gets flooded with singles and prices go down is if these LGSs, these shops that need singles, get a ton of this product and they decide to rip for them. But the thing is the prices that these products demand on the secondary market is going to make it to where LGSs are not going to want to rip this. So to summarize my whole video, this is where I was going with it. I don't think singles prices have a chance in the near future to go down as much as we would like them to be, right? I don't think Umbreon is ever going to go below 1,000, realistically, unless future waves of products, if there was some kind of factory thing, some kind of theft in the factory that prevented a lot of hits from ending up in boxes, and we see pull rates climb drastically, I do not see the single prices going down by a large percentage. And that's kind of contradictory to everything we've seen in the past with Pokemon, right? Almost every set, minus a few, almost every set, the singles prices go down over time. And this is one of the cases where I can see there's more opportunities for single prices to go up than ever before. And I think the only way this gets fixed is if Pokemon, when they do reprints, they up the pull rates. Without upping the pull rate, I don't see this set trickling down on these singles prices by a lot. There are some cards which I definitely see hitting the market more often as people get them in their collection. Like, for example, the back half of the SIR. So let's go to the second page. The back half of these SIRs, Gordingo, Terapagos, Iron Hand, the 4 Mask, Sandy Shocks, Pekkarunt, the lower end trainers like Drayton and Crispin. I see more of these cards ending up on market over time, just because as people open up the set more and more, I can't imagine that somebody wants a third or fourth copy of Iron Hands on hand if that's the card they keep pulling, right? So as they open up the set more and more, I can see some of these cards being more and more available on the market. But when it comes to the top end stuff, the stuff that people are chasing, this first page, a lot of these cards I expect to remain low quantity of market as long as businesses are not doing large mass openings. And unfortunately, I don't see any LGSs really doing large mass openings, simply based on the fact that those large mass openings will not make them as much money as selling the product sealed. And they are businesses. So that's kind of just my takeaway of why the singles market is going to struggle for Prismatic Evolutions. Let me know down in the comment section below. Does this help you want to buy Prismatic Evolutions? Are you going to avoid Prismatic Evolutions? What does the market of Prismatic Evolutions do for you? I would love to know your thoughts and opinions down below. And as always, guys, thank you for watching the video. Remember to keep it classy and stay awesome.